Peace. My name is MystyMoon, and I am an integrative health coach for women. And my purpose is to help women heal physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And today we're going to be talking about the spiritual aspect of healing through the topic of light workers. What is a light worker? Most likely you are a light worker. I am definitely a light worker. We hear that term being thrown around loosely, but today let's just kind of break down what we mean when we use that term. All right, let's get into it. So, a light worker is anyone who wants the best, wants the very best for all of humanity. A light worker is compassionate and sensitive and is always willing to help people. They're very compassionate towards animals, towards nature. And a light worker can be anywhere from a massage therapist to a Reiki healer. You can be in the corporate industry and be a light worker just by your optimistic personality, where you're always smiling, you're always looking at the glass half full, you're always listening to people and always looking for the best qualities in people, despite how rotten people can get sometimes. And so there are various terms that you'll hear within the umbrella of light worker, like starseed, indigo, crystal children, grid worker, gatekeeper, divine light keeper. And so what I want to do here is just share just a few different types of light workers, and perhaps you'll find that one of these characteristics or more than one you'll be able to identify with. Well, first of all, the term light worker was coined in the late 1970s, and then Doreen Virtue, who's an incredible author who writes a lot about like indigo children and crystal children, she kind of brought it more into the forefront and brought it more into the lexicon of our vocabulary and understanding of light workers. So I feel like right now this is the age of light workers. In the past, light workers they've had like a kind of a negative connotation against them within the whole new age movement, because there's a lot of pseudo psychology within the new age movement. But now that people are quote unquote waking up, and what do I mean by waking up? That's another term that we use often. What I mean by waking up is that oftentimes when we are forced into some type of trauma, that's when our perception seems to shift in a very dramatic way. And that's what's happening to the world right now on a collective level. With the pandemic, with the race riots, the gigantic political division, more and more people are starting to question how our reality has been given to us over these last few decades. People are starting to really go within and connect to the more spiritual side of themselves as opposed to the more superficial side of themselves. And within that awakening, then your priorities shift. You know, what kind of food are you eating? What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of movies are you watching? How you find that your discernment with the information you take in from the media becomes a little bit more sharper. And so within this awakening, people who call or consider themselves light workers, there seems to be this gathering, because think about the term light worker, right? The world is in a really dark place. So it's light workers that come in to bring in light, and that's light of love, light of positivity, light of healing, light of evolution. And that light can be expressed in various ways. You can be an artist. You can express it that way, whether you're a painter or you're a musician, or even if you're a dancer, because that offers inspiration and moves people in a very positive way. Or you can be more hands-on, like a Reiki practitioner, massage therapist, a coach like myself, psychologists you can consider to be light workers as well. And then I'm going to get down into a few more other types of light workers that most people are probably not aware of. But really, again, when it comes down to it, a light worker is just someone who, again, wants to make the world a better place, because we do have duality in life. We have the light and we have the dark. They both have their place, but we choose on what side of the fence that we want to express from. So you do have people who are in the dark, who are doing nefarious things in the world, who are trying to manipulate people for their own good, who are caught up in greed and jealousy and hate and bigotry and racism and judgment and finding themselves to be judgmental. I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. So there's two ways. There's two ways that we can embody, that we can express ourselves in this life. And it's either going to be through a positive, light, uplifting vibration, or very dark and nefarious and manipulative. Okay? So these are some terms that were new to me, and I want to thank my friend Melissa, my girl Melissa, for sharing this information with me, because I didn't realize that there were all these different types of light workers. So in addition to like your common, like I said, your massage therapist, your Reiki practitioners, your coaches, your therapists, those are all, a type of light worker that most people are aware of. But we also have what's called grid workers and gatekeepers. And so these are, and I was exposed to this concept when I studied with the mystery school some years ago, School of Metaphysics, and I remember hearing of people going out to various sites throughout the world where there are vortexes. So the way that if you're not familiar with this, the Earth has these electromagnetic fields, or like little grids. And where they intersect, there's certain places in the world where they intersect, and they're called ley lines. Okay, so like, this is kind of going down a rabbit hole, but I highly recommend that you look into it. But a lot of like, if you think about the Stonehenges, and I think Ireland is where they are, or somewhere in Europe, that is on a ley line. Various pyramids are on a ley line. It's even been said that the White House here in the United States are on the ley line, and even Parliament are on ley lines. So if you think of like all these monumental infrastructures that have significant meanings in our world, most likely they're strategically placed there for a particular reason because of where these ley lines are, and that's where and the ley lines create this just like magnetic vortex. That's as far as I can go with this. So there are people that are called grid workers and gatekeepers, and what they do is to make sure that there's positive energy coming in or out of these ley lines. I'll just read the description here. So these type of light workers, the grid workers and gatekeepers, who are working with the grids on the earth. This could be the human heart grid that connects the hearts of all awakened humans. As we know, the heart has the strongest electromagnetic field of all the organs in the body. And it can be actual grids on the earth that connect sacred sites through ley lines, which is what I was referring to earlier. It could also be higher energetic grids like the crystalline grids. I can't go into that because I don't really know what that is. And there is clearing work. So gatekeepers is more of an advanced form of grid work in which you work with a team to open up interdimensional gates to allow higher levels of light and love to come in. Now keep in mind, again, there's the dark. There are a group of people out there that are opening up certain portals to allow negative energy to come in. Best believe that is true. So these light workers, these grid workers, have a very important job here to help create that balance, okay? Then we have divine light keepers. These are light workers whose core mission is to embody the light. They are here to retain a higher vibrational frequency in the presence despite whatever is happening in the external. So again, this could just be, maybe they're not necessarily a healer. Maybe they just work in corporate America, or, maybe they just work at Walmart, or just like your various, 9-to-5 jobs. They always have that light about them. You've met that person where they just always seem just positive despite how chaotic life is. So that is a type of light worker. And then we have a transmuter. Transmuters dive into the negativity in order to transmute it and release it into the light. This returns the negativity to divine neutrality, returning it to present and balance. Transmuters may be working on behalf of the collective consciousness and all humanity by transmuting past karma. This makes me think about shamans. That's what shamans do. They go into the underworld. They go into a trance. They go into the underworld and just work out the karma. Sometimes they'll do it on behalf of a person that they're working with. And when I think about my personal experience, or like people like me who have gone through depression, have gone through, some type of like dark night of the soul, that's a way of going into the darkness and coming out of it. And when you choose to not just come out of that darkness, but to use that as a way to help other people come out of their darkness, that's an example of a transmuter. At least in my opinion, it is. Okay? And then we have like the healers, like the massage therapists, the Reiki, folks, the people who work with crystals and energetic healing. Those are the healers. And then we have the dreamers, like those who can interpret dreams. That's another type of light worker. And then we have our beloved clairvoyants, our clairvoyant people. So those who are clairvoyant, who are clairsentient, who are clairaudio. So these are people who can see things, they can hear things, they can feel things, and they can give you a message through that. Or even tarot readers is another type of messenger. Or people who read the I Ching, any type of divination is what we consider to be a messenger. So yes, so overall, again, light workers are people who are again looking out for the greater good of the planet. Again, it could be the person at Starbucks that you see. I'm not going to say Starbucks. I'll say Pete's because I prefer Pete's. So say you walk into a Pete's and there's that person that's just like always on it, just always positive and bright and light, or the jokester. You always have that one jokester in the group. So we all essentially have light within us. We all have the light within us. So it's just a matter of choice. Again, do we want to express a life that's positive and and constantly striving to lift up our vibration, or do we want to express a life that is stuck, that chooses to be confused, that chooses to be depressed, that chooses to hold grudges? It's really up to you. And so if you are stuck in that low vibration and you want to get out of it but you don't know how to, then that's where you seek out someone who's a light worker to help lift you up. And again, it could be that one person that you see at the grocery store, the checker at the grocery store that's always positive. Maybe you can just try to go through that person's line whenever you go through and just have an interaction with them. Or there's that one good friend that you can depend on. Or you can go to a professional, like a coach, or a therapist or an energetic worker. So we light workers, we have a very, very extremely important part to play on this planet. So that is my spiel about light workers. So I hope that gave you some clarity. I definitely learned a lot when I researched this. And it just gives me a great appreciation for what I do and what my other fellow light workers around me do. So yes, so anyway, that is my talk for today. And I send you all love and light into your day. And I look forward to the next video. Okay, peace.